have a confession to make. I hold book grudges. If I read a book by an author that I didn't like, it's almost certain that I'm not picking up any of their other works. Yes, it's judgmental, but there's so many books in the space that I want to get through. Why would I purposefully go towards an author whose work I didn't like? But lately I've been feeling like turning a new leaf. So if you saw my last video, I gave Carley Fortune a second chance because I didn't like her first book, but I actually really ended up liking her second book. So this inspired me. Which other authors have I read that I haven't loved? So I present to you Stephen King, one of the most popular horror authors in the book space. Everyone is obsessed with his work, and I read Misery a couple years ago and I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I really didn't like it, so I've kept away from Stephen King for years. But I've decided that this week it's time to give Stephen King a second chance. So let's go to the library and see which book I picked out for this week's video. I'm assuming that It and The Shining are going to be checked out, which I'm fine with that because I've heard that It is super long. I know The Shining is really popular, but I've never even seen the movie, so I really have no idea what to expect with that book. I think top of my list is going to be The Pet Sematary. I've just heard really good things about that book, but aside from that, I'm pretty open. So let's go inside so we can check out the options. Oh my god, all of these. As you guys just saw, I started the book, but I really only read the introduction. The crazy thing is, Stephen King thinks that this is his craziest book, like his scariest book. He is most frightened by how far he went in this novel, although he thinks the book that most readers would find scary is The Shining. So I'm very interested now what is to come. So let's hope that my expectations are met. It's time for my very first update about Pet Sematary. I'm actually 13% through already, which I think is pretty impressive because I don't feel like I've been reading a bunch, but apparently I have, so I'll take that. The book isn't crazy impressive to me so far, but like I said, it is reading pretty quickly, which I appreciate. It's not scary or horrific in any way yet. I did see a black figure standing in front of me. Weird stuff like walking around and stuff. Freaking me out. But we're also just kind of learning about the world and the characters, so no pressure yet. I did find the introduction pretty interesting because I haven't read a book by an author that includes it. He basically just talks about the inspiration behind the novel, and it was actually that Stephen King himself moved into a house and there was a pet cemetery nearby. And the reason why cemetery is spelled incorrectly is because the pet cemetery was something that was started up by kids and they didn't know how to spell it properly. So that's how we got this spelling of pet cemetery. So that was pretty interesting because I was wondering why it was misspelled, and now I know. Also, in this little introduction, Stephen King explained that he actually found the Pet Sematary book so gruesome that when he put it in the drawer to give it its 6 weeks of rest before going back to edit, he literally didn't think he was going to publish it. So that's super interesting to me because in his opinion, this is one of his most horrific and gruesome books. So based on how little horror we've gotten, I'm super interested to see when and how dramatic that shift is going to be. I don't particularly love gory books, but if it's done well, if there's interesting themes, and if it makes sense for the novel, then I'm totally on board. I'm just having a lot of trouble with how we're gonna get there because, like I've said, nothing has happened so far. This book is about a young couple with 2 children who move into a new house, and they meet their neighbor named Judd who lives across the street. He's this older guy, and he keeps warning the couple about how dangerous the road in between their houses is because pets die often on that street because of the big trucks that pass through. So much so that there's an entire pet cemetery next to the house dedicated to all of the pets' lives that have been lost when crossing that road. So I'm already predicting that their pet cat is probably gonna pass away, which is gonna break my heart because, as you guys know, I have 2 cats and that would literally destroy me. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's kind of in the cards. Aside from that, there's not much happening, so I'm not necessarily dying to continue the book, but like I said, it's going by very quickly, so I don't imagine it'll be a struggle to get through, although I'm not particularly invested yet. I'm literally on the verge of bawling. Like, it's making me choke up. Crazy insane thing happened, but I'll of course update you guys as soon as I have any more to say. But for now, I'll see you tomorrow. I have a little bit of an update because I'm officially 25% through the book and I'm not obsessed with it, but it is very early and I do think that this is a well done novel. I just am a little bit bored. Lewis is a doctor at a university and we did get a very incredibly traumatic description of this one student because they had an accident and obviously the doctor has to take care of that. So that was a really interesting section of the book and I can understand why people who are fans of horror are fans of Stephen King. Like I told you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of gore and guts and blood and all that, but I do think that that segment of the book was well done and I'm actually really interested in reading more in that style. I did find it a little bit interesting that after that incredibly traumatizing event at the school, Lewis's wife initiates a sexual encounter and I guess it's to like take his mind off of it, but it did feel a little bit weird and jarring. But I can imagine that whenever your partner is aware that you're experiencing such traumatic things on a daily basis, they would have learned methods of coping that can help you. So maybe that helps him. And in the book, it did seem like it was able to distract him. So I guess that's fine, but it just felt a little bit odd. I think I'm being a little bit judgmental just because there's not a lot going on in the story. We're just following Lewis in his day-to-day, and he's not particularly super interesting, in my opinion. I obviously am looking forward to learning more about the Pet Sematary. We haven't had too many things happen regarding that area of the book, and obviously that's the title, so I'm assuming that's to come. It's definitely like a subtle build. Like I think all of the information that we're learning is going to be impactful and is ultimately important to the overall storyline. I'm just not super invested in these characters and I'm having trouble pinpointing why that is exactly, but I'm sure as we keep reading, it'll all become more clear to me. I'm looking to be freaked out. I'm looking to be disturbed by this book, mainly because of the intro that Stephen King himself added. So if he can do those things, I will be satisfied and this will ultimately be a good book. So we'll see what happens. I'm officially 40% through the book now and I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm actually liking it a lot now. And I think it's because I read it last night. So the vibes were already kind of creepy because I was reading in the pitch black, and in the book, they were traveling to the pet cemetery in the pitch black darkness and there were creepy sounds, all those things. So I started like thinking about the sounds in my room and I heard a little like chitter chattering and then I was like getting freaked out, and that's what I want. That's what I was looking for. And so far, that's what the book is starting to give me. So I'm very much excited about it. As I just mentioned, Judd and Lewis are the ones that are going to the Pet Sematary for an undisclosed reason. I'm not going to specify. And it's not technically the Pet Sematary, but you'll have to read if you want to find out where they're going and why. But it was getting creepy. It was getting creepy and I was liking it a lot. So far, Judd is kind of an untrustworthy character because we've recently caught him in a few lies and it's not certain why he's been lying. So that's going to be a big reveal. And also, I think I know one of the biggest secrets he's keeping, and if it's true, it's going to be very creepy. Like it's going to be maybe the creepiest thing that gets revealed in the book. So obviously, I'm very excited about that. Also, a crazy insane thing happened, but I can't reveal it to you guys. But yeah, that was crazy insane. And I feel like Lewis is reacting kind of how I would. Like I feel like he had a pretty justified reaction, although no, I would have reacted way crazier. Because what do you mean? What do you actually mean? I am now excited to pick the book back up. I don't think I'll be able to until tonight, which look, I can't complain aside from the fact that it was 1 a.m. when I finally put the book down and I did have trouble falling to sleep because my brain was just going. And I'm pretty sure I saw a figure in my room, but I'm just gonna hope that it's because I was getting freaked out and then my brain just made something up, because yeah, I did see a black figure standing in front of me, but it was like kind of in a dream state, which also is a huge thing because basically Lewis is experiencing weird stuff like walking around and stuff. Oh my god, that actually freaked me out. It's literally my cat's burying stuff. Okay, calm down. Lewis is experiencing these weird things with Judd, but he also keeps downplaying it in his head because he thinks in a way that he's still sleepwalking, because everything he's been doing is like in a hazy fog. Like he feels weird while he's doing it. He doesn't feel fully in his body. So that could potentially be an interesting reveal as well. But also, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. So if I do find out those answers, I'm not going to reveal them, because so far a lot of the fun in this book has been the mystery behind it all. I'm very much looking forward to reading it tonight, and as always, I will update you guys as soon as I have more thoughts. I was not expecting to cry, but I'm literally on the verge of bawling. Like, I'm midway through chapter 37, and I literally... Give me a second. Hey, I'm not crying now. tears were falling. Like, tears were indeed falling. Something incredibly traumatic happened, but I cannot explain it to you guys. I wouldn't be able to tell you without ruining a huge piece of the plot. So just know that something traumatic happened, and the way that the characters are having to deal with it, the emotions that are coming up, just how differently everyone is dealing with this situation is incredibly, like, it's making me choke up, you know? It was making me choke up. I started crying, but I can't really update you any more than that. I'm 62% through now. I'm going to go to the store and listen to the audiobook the entire time. I'm going to cook my family dinner, listen to the audiobook the entire time, and I really can't even tell you. I can't even tell you, so that's kind of sad. But something I can tell you and show you is, look at this bag I made. It's super cute. Like, I bedazzled it. It's so cute. I love it, and I get to wear it today with my outfit. Yay! At least there's something happy that can come out of today, because this morning was a tough one. It was a tough one, I'm not gonna lie to you. The book has gotten incredibly interesting, incredibly disheartening, incredibly sad, all the things. I'm feeling them all. I'm pretty impressed. What can I say? But we'll see what happens later in the book. Of course, you guys will be the first to know. Bye for now. It's time for a book update. It's time for a book update. Okay, but for real, it's time for a book update. I officially finished Pet Sematary, and I actually really ended up liking it. Every time this book got to peak creepiness, I just happened to be reading it in bed at night in the pitch black darkness, and this time it actually really freaked me out. Stephen King's writing, as you probably know, is very, very descriptive. It feels like a movie's playing in your head. And although I wasn't super tied to the characters, I don't think the characters were particularly well fleshed out or anything, the story was told with so much depth and detail that it was so easy to imagine everything that was happening, and that just makes it so much creepier, because as you can probably imagine, if we're doing creepy things in the book, I'm visualizing it as a movie in my head, so it was freaking me out. It's kind of annoying because I can't even describe to you guys what about this book was so creepy without spoiling anything, but just know that for one, we're not necessarily focusing on pets in a pet cemetery, and for two, this book heavily dives into grief and how grief can affect people in such dramatic ways. So if that's a personal trigger to you, I do not think that you should read this book, because it might freak you out in a way that's not helpful. Just make sure that you read any trigger warnings before going into this book. I think I'm going to rate it a 4 stars, which is really high for me, and I'm shocked by it, but I'm so happy that I read this book and had a good experience with it, because now I can go into Stephen King's backlog, which is incredibly extensive, and find another popular read that I think I'll like. So if you guys have any recommendations for me, please leave them down below. What's your favorite Stephen King book? Have you read Pet Sematary, and what did you think about it? Also, have you guys seen the Pet Sematary movie? Because I'm having trouble imagining this depicted on film. So if you guys have seen the movie, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next week. Bye!